you still won't fundamentally wake up to the ever-present nature of this awareness. And so practice does become important. And it's, even though there are thousands of mystical texts that talk about, Buddhahood without meditation or Christ consciousness without effort, and Krishnamurti spent his whole life saying, there's no technique, nothing. It's
right.
Absolutely already present. Well, all of that is fine, but that happens only at the end of years of practice. I mean, those texts in the mystical traditions are given only to people who have been meditating for a decade or two, so that they can then see that the meditation was, in a sense, preparing the ground, but it's not necessary for bringing into being that which is always already the case, that which is ever present, that which is 100% present right now. But it is that paradox. It is that gateless gate. Zen masters call it selling water by the river.
Right. You can't grab hold of it, and you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
Another Zen saying, Tolle had this spontaneous awakening, and that does happen from time to time. And one of the things that people are interested in spiritual practice and awakening have been trying to figure out for, several millennia is, okay, what's the surefire way to make sure this happens?
Right.
And it turns out there is no surefire way
right.
to make sure this happens. And there's a lot of sort of reasons for that, but that we don't have time to go into. But one of the things that you've said that I thought was very, one of your better bon mots is this idea that being in that present all the time, rather than just having visits because you decided to pay attention to the now moment, as Tolle is talking about, is an accident.
Yeah.
However, meditation makes you more accident prone.
Right.
And I think that really does sum it up very well. Nobody has figured out a surefire way to get into the state where you're ever present in that way. But a lot of people do arrive there, and almost all of them are people that have done meditation and other practices, generally
yes.
for many, many years.
Yes. Yes, it's true. And one of the things there, we're increasingly finding ways, and many of the traditions, particularly the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, have ways they're called pointing out instructions, which can help people see this ever-present nowness very, very quickly. Within, just an hour or two of working with somebody who knows these pointing out instructions. And, of course, the big mind process, which I know you'll be talking with Genpo Roshi about, is a modern-day version of these pointing out instructions that can help, within really an hour or so, give people a direct realization of this non-dual, ever-present mind. But then you still need to practice. You still need to anchor it. You still need to develop the muscles, so to speak, that allow this awareness to register. And so the spontaneous occurrences that happen are great, but we can't let that. It's a disservice if people think that all they had to do is sit around waiting for that thing to happen. That's just sad. They get down, pick a practice. There are any number of ones that work, and just get started. And the day will come sooner rather than later when you will be having this ongoing understanding and these series of sort of quote experiences, and that will be great.
Yeah,
but get started.
And these experiences generally are some form of really what Tolle is talking about, where you get your mind out of the past, out of the future, and into the present, except it's a little bit more structured way of doing it, so you might be sitting and, for instance, watching your breath go in and out. And
That's
so,
right.
and so when you do that, you are in the present moment. And then what happens is you get distracted by something, thoughts, or you hear a sound, or your leg hurts, or whatever.
Right.
And then you realize, oh, I'm not with the breath anymore, and you go back to it. But it's done in a structured way, and these are the sorts of things, and there are many, many such practices, that cause a person over time, all the crap in their mind that keeps pulling them out of the now begins to become more quiescent. And then you're left with, as we talked about earlier, you're left with this shadow material that isn't addressed by meditation, but there are ways to address it. So, I mean, I'm bringing this up, of course, because I really want to encourage the people who are listening not just to read Tolle's books and say, wow, I sure like these books, and it sure feels good when I do this, and, a couple times a day for 2